I did wonder for a second if this camera quality would be any different if I just turned everything off except for the video recording device. I am currently filming this on the MacBook photo booth because I am too tired and too lazy. And I thought I'd just get on here and gab a little bit. And if the audio starts lagging, no, not the audio. If the video starts lagging, I have just decided not to care. I definitely need to go ahead and get a brand new computer. But wow, the day that I do that will be a day for us all. I just wanted to put this on the internet to say that I am very much alive and well-ish, and I wanted to be able to sort of get life updates and the like just out of the way. So this is not really so much a video to watch as it is audio to listen to. Imagine this like the podcast we never had. So if you just put your headphones on, put your earbuds in, and just, like cook something, do some laundry, do a, tedious menial task, and I'll talk to you a little bit about what's been going on. Yeah, so I guess to address the main part, I haven't uploaded a video in a very, very long time, and I guess a lot of stuff has happened between then and now. What did I upload? I uploaded 2 short films, which I actually am very, very proud of. I only really do short film stuff once a year because I have a group of friends who put on a little short film jam every year now. There's going to be one happening this year. It's going to be happening in April, which means you probably won't see my next short film until late April, early May. That's my guess. And that'll be exciting. I've been really enjoying doing film and filmmaking as a little hobby, even though I'll probably never make money off of it. The most recent film that I did is called Tense. It's on the channel. I wrote and directed that film. I'm also one of the main speakers in it. Lucky me. I did submit it to a short film festival and got rejected. So that's like $7, 7 American dollars that I will never get back. But, I just wanted to try. My friends encouraged me to submit it to a short film thing and it got rejected. So, that is what it is. Other things of note. I think I had said in my last update video after I had graduated the first time that I have now graduated a second time. I have a degree in music and I now also have a degree in education. I am a music teacher, a band teacher specifically, but I do classroom teaching when band teaching and music teaching is not available. So I've got my 2 diplomas, my 2 degrees hanging up on my wall. It's great to be educated. I am now, on paper, the most educated person in my family. Which is really funny because it's not technically true, but it is true on paper. If you're judging by the amount of degrees, that makes me the most educated, which my family knows what kind of joke that is. Anyways, what else did I want to speak about? I do have full intentions to, I don't want to say make a comeback to YouTube. I do have full intentions to return to the internet with music, videos, short films. I do want to do all those things, but being able to upkeep an online presence is difficult for 2 reasons. One, because being on the internet as a hobby and not a job, like being on the internet does not make me money presently. I suppose it could, and that would be great, but presently it does not. So without that sort of incentive, and not to make everything about money, but it's really hard to set aside time to make YouTube videos and music when I'm busy having a job. Technically, I have 2 jobs right now. I'm teaching within a couple divisions, and once in a while I do construction work. So, and that's not anything out of the ordinary, but it does mean that a lot of my time is spent working and sleeping and just a repetitive, vicious cycle all the way through. Yeah. Teaching's really hard, especially now. I'm not sure what it's like in other parts of the world, but certainly where I live, I'm a substitute teacher presently. Like, nobody has contracted me and said, you're gonna teach a whole classroom for an entire year or half a year or whatever. That hasn't happened to me, and I'm totally fine with that. But the thing is that there's such a shortage of teachers. It's teachers, like, it's education and it's healthcare, right? All the positions in those two fields are overworked and underpaid, and there aren't enough people to go around, so they're just kind of grasping at all the new graduates that pour out of universities, which I don't really think is a bad thing, but it is a desperate thing. And I've just kind of come at it as, it's tough all over, this is the job. The thing that keeps me going in a field like education and teaching is that while I do not believe about myself that I was, God's gift to education, I was not put on this earth to become a teacher. I don't believe that about myself. I know some people have that raw passion for teaching and have only ever seen themselves as being a teacher. That is their only career. And power to those people. I love that they know that about themselves. I know myself well enough that I know that teaching is not one of my fiery, burning passions. However, I am disciplined enough that I know that I do a good job. And the way I've described it to people is that when I started university, I had no intentions of becoming a teacher. Zero. But once I hit my second year of university, I started taking music education specific classes, and I found out through the taking of those classes that I sort of naturally fell into it. It fit, the skill set needed to do those kinds of courses really aligned with sort of the natural skills that I have. So I just sort of accidentally discovered that I was good at it, and everybody else was very encouraging. My family was very encouraging, and so I ended up switching my major. Surprise, surprise, I guess. Apparently it wasn't so much a surprise to my mom. She has told me since I've been in the teaching system that I was sort of a natural-born teacher. Never saw that about myself, but, that's how parents work, I guess. They see all that stuff before you do when you're a teeny tiny human. Apparently I showed natural signs of being a teacher when I was a little kid. Anyways, if we bypass all of that, the second reason why I don't have a huge presence online is because being online right now is really scary. And I don't say that to be like, oh, you should be afraid to be on the internet. Like, you should have a healthy fear of being on the internet, but that fear kind of comes in two parts. One is that there's always the risk when you make yourself known to the world, like known in any sort of public sphere. And that is especially true, second reason, for people who work in education fields. Really, having any online presence and having a job is, like, unless your job is being a public figure of some kind, it's really hard to make an online presence and your regular 9-to-5 job, whatever it is you have, go hand in hand without there being some hoops to jump through. Teachers all the time, like, the number one thing that they get in trouble for is doing crazy stupid things on the internet, and then their boss finds it, and it's just like, oh, you did something stupid and you posted about it. Brilliant. The easiest way to avoid that is to not be on the internet and to not be a moron. And maybe that sounds harsh coming from me, but I, deleted all my social media probably around 4 or 5 years ago now, and it is to date one of the best decisions that I have ever made. I really do not think I lost a great deal of anything, apart from maybe networking. That seems to be the only advantage that an online presence has, where people can be like, oh yeah, here's the link to my Instagram. Okay, like, I don't know. When you have, like, basically a photo hosting site being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna link my Instagram to my email, like, I don't really see the point of it. You can network plenty without that. I do actually think that it says more about your character if you are able to do a healthy amount of networking without social media being, like, your main gateway into that. And there are obviously exceptions, and there are people who do really, really clean, fantastic online networking work through their social media. And I have great respect for those people, but I do not have that discipline. And it is safer for most people, I believe, to just not, like, social media largely is personal, and you know what they say about crossing over your personal life and your professional life, and social media is sort of it is a large gray area between those two worlds. Anyways, carrying on. So those are sort of like the twofold reasons as to why I haven't been on the internet a ton. But like I said before, I do want to come back, and literally the main thing that's getting in the way of that is I need a new computer. But when I tell you that when I get this new computer, I will be filming and making things, and oh, you have no idea how much I want to return to live streaming. I want to do that all the time. And when I get a new computer, it's going to be a gaming computer, and I am going to do some fire Let's Plays. It's going to happen. And maybe some of you have not thought that I am, in fact, a video game person. I am. You know what I do almost every day now when I come home from work? Is I play BioShock. Or BioShock Infinite. I have BioShock 2, but I have not started it yet. And I'm terrible at it. I'm terrible at first-person shooter games, but I love the story. I love a bunch of story games, and I, like, have a list of video games that I fully intend to play, and I just know that they would be so much more fun if I did them on a live stream with an audience, and, you know, maybe 2 people will watch them, but I'm okay with that. I think living in the little world has been doing lots for me. What else can I mention here? Because this is just a stream of consciousness now that I'm talking about things. I've been, you know, getting cool with myself, doing therapy, and that actually has been nice. I've, you know, keeping up with my medications and whatever, keeping myself well adjusted. I am trying to declutter my life a little bit. I'm sure it doesn't look like that from what you see around me in the screen, but I am actually trying to organize some stuff into cardboard boxes so that I can hopefully move out of this place. But because the housing market is in crisis and nobody makes enough money to do anything, that is becoming more of a long-term goal than a short-term goal. Although most of my friends are constantly talking about whether or not they're going to move out, their plans for moving out, all these things. But it's just with the housing market being trash and nobody making, you know, 2 pennies to rub together. I suppose that's funny because we Canadians don't deal in pennies anymore. We're broke! We're broke and we're suffering, and the young people can't buy a house. And there are many ways that I could go into some kind of political conversation about that, but I loathe politics. So I'm not even going to bother with that one. What else is there? Oh yeah, the rise of AI happened while I was gone. Well, not while I was there. I just wasn't on the internet while it was happening. I have a very unique opinion on this as someone, well, I don't want to say unique. Everyone's opinion is unique. But I do feel like my opinion on this has changed since being a teacher, also because, like, the rise of things like ChatGPT, those things were coming up, like, the second I was, like, on my way to graduating the second time. So I had, like, just become aware of the influence of artificial intelligence in things like teacher lesson planning and, like, designing curriculum and all of these things, like, just before I graduated. And I see it so very much everywhere. I, like, did a prep period for a teacher, and I, like, saw on her laptop that she was having conversations with ChatGPT about how to design her lesson plans. And it's not that I disagree. Like, everybody wants to be able to get the groundwork out of the way. Like, nobody wants to sit at their laptop doing lesson plans for every single day all the time. That does suck, and everybody does hate it. But I do think that AI provides a very easy excuse to be lazy. It's very natural, and also because we're being told that our students are going to use ChatGPT in all their assignments anyway. It's sort of just like, oh, then why bother? It does seem like a very, very ridiculous uphill battle. There's so much more that I could say on that, but I fear then I would just be making the rest of this video about AI content, and I don't want to do that. Largely, I'm against it. The only thing that I've ever found AI entertaining for, like, I liked AI better when it sucked, which is, like, you know, when it couldn't, like, draw pictures without, like, you'd ask it to produce, like, a picture of a person, and it would always add too many fingers on their hands. Like, back when AI couldn't produce a simple image, I thought that was hilarious. Nowadays, it's more like, oh, I can use AI to, like, do a little bit of, like, Dungeons and Dragons roleplay. Like, that's the most it is that I use it for, like, fantastical storytelling, and that's about it. I would never, ever use it for my professional work life, because I personally do not like the idea of giving something to my superior, to my boss, and knowing that I didn't make it myself. I think that's inauthentic for me. I think it sets a bad precedent as an educator. And I think it sets a horrible example for my students if they were to see me doing that, and then say to them, you can't use AI on yours. Like, that's ridiculous. Anyways, I'm gonna bypass that. Funnily enough, the reason why I'm just sort of sit down talking is that I've kind of been influenced a little bit by the monologue-ish style videos that, like, Emma Chamberlain did, or still does, I guess, where she's literally just doing podcast style stuff. I've had lots of people say to me that I just want to be the person on the podcast. I don't. I would rather not make a video that's like the one I'm making right now, because it does feel like I'm talking to the void, and like 9 times out of 10 when I make a video that's just me talking to the camera, I get to the end of the recording and then I delete it because I'm sick of making content that requires like almost zero effort, and also because I don't like just talking myself. I find conversation obviously much easier when there's another person. Like, the other person wouldn't even have to say anything, but if I actually felt like I was talking to another real live human being present in this room, then I would have an easier time about it. But I'm trying to stay present because somebody is listening to this, so I'm gonna try and stay really like one-on-one with you right now. Right, so inspired by the Emma Chamberlain style, but then also only a couple days ago, maybe 2 or 3 days ago, I was listening to this video about a woman who like grew up in a Christian nationalist cult, and she also did like this sort of, it's like the video is mostly just her talking to a microphone. Anyways, I liked the styling of those kinds of videos, and I'm also the kind of person who will click on a video and then put my earbuds in and then go cook a meal or do my laundry. I'm very much that person. I rarely now, unless it, video demands my visual attention, I rarely like sit in front of the screen and actively watch stuff. I save that for movies and TV shows, which I have been watching plenty of. I'm sure TV programmers know what they're doing when they decide what goes on air, but my father and I almost every day, have been watching episodes of The West Wing, which that seems really like very connected to what's going on presently in the world, given all of the sort of political unrest and the many dangerous, scary things that have been happening like, since, you know, the sun rose on January 1st, 2026. Like, it has truly been a year, and it hasn't even really started. Like, we are not even halfway through the year, and so much stuff has happened where I'm just like, I can't even believe I live on this stupid floating rock in the middle of the universe. It's actually just, there's some nefarious, iniquitous, abysmal work going on in the world, and I am so glad every day that I'm not actively part of it. And I just gotta live in the little world. Yeah, so watching a lot of The West Wing, which, man, that show is great, and it gives you a lot to chew on, and it is surprising and not surprising how many of the things in that show are still relevant to this day, and the same problems that were not solved then are still very much unsolved now. Yikes. Been listening to a lot of Critical Role. I'm trying to war through campaign 4. I'm having a real tough go through episode 7 right now. But I'm trying very hard. And also the Mighty Nine animated series came out not too long ago, and man, I wish the second season would come out already. Also been watching season 2 of The Pit as it's been coming out. I binged the entirety of the Bridgerton series, all 4 seasons, and wow, it really does make me miss, like, the days where humans would just go to a place and dance. I think dancing is one of the most, like, socially romantic things that exists in the world. Music and arts and dance, and it's just so nice, and that show has so many just, like, ballroom dancing-esque scenes, and I love it every time. What else is there? The Oscars are coming up next week, and I have a long list of movies I have not yet watched. I usually formulate my opinion before watching the awards show, and some people don't watch the awards show because they're like, oh, it's a bunch of preposterous, pompous, you know, who's it, what's it, who, you know, nobody really cares about afterwards anyway. Like, it's not that deep, but you know, and there's all this, like, the drama with Timothée Chalamet, like, dropped like 2 days ago. Not the drama, but the fact that he's, like, kind of becoming an unlikable person, which I was never a big fan of his, and I stand by that because I have felt weird about him since day one. The only time I really let up on that was when I watched A Complete Unknown. I was like, yeah, he really did that. And he was robbed of awards from that movie. But he's going viral right now for saying that he doesn't want to be part of opera or ballet, which he refers to as things that nobody cares about and things that people are trying to keep alive, which is just not true. And as somebody who, you know, has a great deep love for the arts and is trying to keep the arts in our schools, I found that to be hilarious. But yeah, just a whole ordeal. Also, and I don't really know why I'm bringing this up, but also, like, the drama really is hot nowadays on the internet. Gabby Hanna has come back and maybe left the internet again. And she's gone on a whole, like, religious tirade because she's apparently Christian now. And as somebody who was raised in the church and is fairly deconstructing now, listening to the things that she has to say, or at least, like, not directly from her videos or her channel, but even, like, through what people are saying. Like, I've watched a lot of Adam McIntyre videos, and I'm not a super huge fan of his content, but I do think the coverage that he's been doing on Gabby Hanna has been hilarious, but it is also truly, truly sad. Like, I feel like religion in general in the Western world has really tanked itself. And after watching and listening to that video on that woman who was raised in the Christian nationalist cult, and seeing, like, the deep-rooted religious hatred that exists specifically in the US, but in the Western world at large, and there's plenty of it here in the country that I live in, here in Canada, It really does make me think that Rhett and Link were really on to something when they left. And like, when Rhett and Link left the church and did their podcast episodes on that, it was when that was when I really started to sit back and go, oh. And like, Rhett says something about how he does have hope for the church, and I share his sentiment that like there is goodness in people who belong to the church, especially young people. I do feel like there are more young people who are actually living out what like Jesus and the Bible truly does stand for. The issue is that religion at large is kind of gross, and I kind of do grow to detest it more and more each day. I've said largely to a lot of people that I do not have a problem with Big G God, but I do have every single problem with his people. So there is that. I've wondered, I've debated with myself many times whether or not I should give my own opinion on religion as somebody who's very much grown up in it and was like, I wouldn't say studied, like I've never like studied post-secondary. I don't have a degree or anything, but I remember from a young age being extremely knowledgeable. I knew every single story. I knew all the main characters. Like I knew the word and was very devout, and I am not like that anymore. And I've debated talking about that online, but as I've said before, doing anything online is dangerous work, but also just who wants yet another person's deconstructed opinion? The only real leg I feel like I have to stand on when it comes to that is being in a young generation that, from the perspective of, I don't blindly hate religion as a whole, but I don't have a deep love for it either. I find myself very much in the middle, which nowadays is a very dangerous place to be because everybody wants to be us versus them, and I hate that with every fiber of my being. Toss that out the window real quick. Yeah, what other stuff is there? I think I may have honestly run out of things to talk about right now in this moment. Maybe I should just do little teeny tiny videos where I just talk to the camera about things. Would you tell me in the comments of this video if you would be entertained by such a thing? Yeah, I do want to post videos and make content, and a large reason why I'm doing that now is because I feel a deep sense of guilt for not contacting my YouTube audience. In fact, my mother asked me not that long ago if I had any intentions of returning, and I said yes, just not right now, because I'm trying to focus on having my job, keeping my job, and making enough money to be a functioning adult in the society that I currently find myself in. And that is so much harder than anybody thought it was going to be. Yeah. Wow, that is a great deal of things I've just said. But yeah, I do miss you guys. I understand there's like 1,000 subscribers, and that kind of terrifies me that I have that many eyes on me, but in the scale of the internet, when you could have millions of people, having 1,000 is a small number. So I am very thankful for those of you who are still hanging around. I am trying very hard to return, just considering the circumstances of the world that I live in, the challenges that I'm facing as a still fairly young adult. I have found it increasingly difficult to even be some kind of motivated or inspired to do video audio content. I have ideas fly into my mind and then fly out of my mind as easily as they came in. And the last thing I want to do is disappoint you guys. And I feel like it is safer to not upload something than upload something that is bad and disappoint y'all. And that's it. That would be embarrassing for me, and I want to save myself from that. This video is getting to be a half hour long now, and it's going to take me 1,000,000 years to upload it. So Again, I just want to express my gratefulness, my thankfulness for those of you who are hanging on, those of you who are hanging out in my in my Discord. But yes, I've been told that my Discord is not accessible. I will put a working link in the description of this video, and if that link doesn't work, somebody will yell at me in my server. Or maybe I will forget to put the link in and somebody will yell at me in my server. Either way, there should be a link down below in the description. But yeah, like I said, I have every intention of coming back. I really do need some time, and I never expected it to be years. But so much has changed, especially in the last 2 years, and it is just so hard for me to keep up, and I feel guilty asking for your continued grace, but right now it is all I can do. Yeah, I will maybe make another one of these videos in... I don't even know if I can give you a timeline, because then what if I don't meet it? And that would be disappointing and embarrassing for me. A really light goal. I would like to do another one of these sit-down talks, maybe in a month. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna end the video now before I just go into a large bout of silence, but, thank you for listening, if you have truly listened the entire video long. And hopefully we will talk again in a month or two. I have been the Deuteragonist, and you have yourself a nice rest of your day. Okay, bye everyone.